just completed a 3-year fine art degree at UCLan. Before that, I used to work in the community, supporting adults with learning disabilities. Well, I've always liked to do embroidery and tapestries for many, many years. And I think what I did was I just, put my skills together, because historically embroidery has always been involved in female activism, gender, politics, and it has a voice. The thing is with my art, I have to have a connection to the work I do, and it has to mean something. And I'm guessing it's probably like that for most artists. But yeah, how it came about, I'd just completed doing a project on my family, basically. My grandparents ran 2 female Morris dancing troupes in the 1950s, and my granddad and my family are actually from Salford, and then they moved to Liverpool with his job. And in a small village called Huyton near Liverpool, they started these 2 troupes in the 50s, not long after the wartime. And my mum was leader of the senior troupe called Robin Hood, and her sister, my Auntie Lynn, was the leader of the junior troupe called Maid Marian. And, it ran and was successful for over a decade. And it was through all the research that I did, based at Liverpool Library and Huyton Library, looking at the archives, etc., that I came across Cecil Sharp, who was the founder of Morris dancing around about the time of the suffragettes, 1905. And he became friends with Mary Neal, who was also a suffrage. And she used to teach working class girls to Morris dance. And that was where all the links sort of came in. And to top it all, I did kind of know from doing the project on Morris dancing, I wanted to do a project about campaigning. And it all became clear when I visited the People's History Museum. And that was when I found that it was going to be a centenary year this year. So I just thought, wow, I want to do it. And so I wanted to be part of the celebration, of how far women had come over the last 100 years. It's a very powerful piece. Now, somehow I'd got this idea in my mind that I wanted it to make a statement. I wanted it to have a big impact, because I think it's important to keep this awareness for females, although we have come an awful long way in 100 years. But by using this awareness, I think it brings communities together, and through history and archives, and from what people have done for us in the past, it's given us freedom of speech. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. It's just a huge celebration for women in general, and I just thought it was something that was really upbeat, and that's something I wanted to portray in the work I did. A feeling of, because people are too fond of criticising people and so much negativity, and I just wanted it to be something that people could relate to, but in a nice way, but also a powerful way. People have actually said that it's like an army, when you look like you mean business sort of thing, which obviously I laughed about. But not only that, as I said, the PR at UCLan got involved, and it's now on the website. The Evening Gazette got involved, and I got, headline news in the education side of things. So I'd say, on the whole, it's been a very positive element all round, and I'm very pleased, Well, it was part of a degree show, but of course all the different artists are all doing their own thing. It's all together but separate in a way, because people are doing also, it's not just, I was probably the only one that was doing a textile piece, and certainly on that scale. I was quite anxious about doing it at the beginning, because I don't think my teacher sort of thought perhaps it was such a good idea, because I think he was just concerned that it was going to take too long. But I managed to do it in 3.5 months. I'm part of the generation that today that the campaign, the WASPI campaign, Women Against State Pension Inequalities, we've sort of sold down the river a bit there, weren't we? I'm in my late 50s myself, and of course, there's a lot of women that were on their own now through no fault of their own, and they're struggling. And it's harder for women to get jobs when they're getting older. So I think it's very important that we keep putting the message out and supporting each other. Over the 100 years, Emmeline Pankhurst was one of the first, and she kept, campaigning relentlessly. And I think this is part of my inspiration for these women, really, because they had guts, didn't they? They were very brave against all the odds. And then, of course, we've got over the 100 years. We've had 2 female prime ministers, and one is reigning at the moment, Theresa May. We've got our Queen, who's been the longest serving monarch to date and who's done a fantastic job. And Diana Abbott, first black female MP to sit in the House of Commons. We've come so far, and I think we've got a lot to show.